Hi there, guys. Wanted to come today and make this video. This is a list um, that I have comprised based on mostly my experience. But some of the things are just kind of things that I've seen, noticed, and witnessed. Um, it's not necessarily any kind of like truth or fact with and when I say that I mean there's no um how should I put it, there's like really no this is more I guess of maybe what would kind of me be more statistical, maybe um and it's definitely not true for all. That's kind of more of what I'm getting at. It's not true of all. Um, but it is something, as I said, that I wanted to bring out in the area of toxic men and red flags. And I did write it down. Got it on my phone here. Um, but I wanted to, now it's not, it's also not exhaustive or whatever. So it's not, there may be a part two to it. Um, some of them are what I deem as kind of toxic male behavior that I've seen, heard, and witnessed, as I said. And some of them are just red flags. Now, I don't really know if I'm going to really get to the red flags so much. I'll kind of see how my time goes. Y'all know I'm a little talky. So I will try to keep it kind of to a minimum and just kind of hit kind of the base points, if you will. So they're also in no order. If I haven't said that already, it's not like in any order that this is most important or whatever. These are just the way that it came to me, the way Spirit brought it to me, and the way that I wrote it down. So, um, I first wrote down men who watch podcast. Now, let me explain because, of course, every podcast is not, I mean, I watch plenty of podcasts. Um, these are more of men, males, you can take your pick, who consume podcast. And what I mean by that is not just necessarily going there for advice or, maybe even just to kind of hear what the host may be talking about to kind of gain some type of insight to kind of balance or whatever, which would be ideal. But these are more of men who go toward those kind of knowingly toxic podcasts and podcasters. Um, say, for example, those who listen to, these other podcasters who are primarily pretty negative, primarily pretty much blame women, who primarily don't really have a solution. They just, have a lot of issues and so forth with women or problems with women or whatever. And they're here to help men. And I put that in quotations because a lot of the times when you find these podcasts and so forth who talk about helping men and so forth, a lot of times they aren't balanced. I think a podcast that is going to help both men and women are ones that have to be balanced. Like you can't just talk about women. You can't just talk about men. You have to be balanced if you're going to be fair. So, those men who kind of just consume and just eat up these podcasts and so forth, and they never really actually talk to women, They never really actually have any of these life experiences. I think I don't think that's a good thing. I think those men lean toward more toward the toxic side. Men who call women females. I think men who call women primarily females, I get it. If there's a slip sometimes, even sometimes I will slip up and say that. I don't like to call us females, mostly because of the negative connotation that it has. If we were in a different type of world, female would be okay referring to a lady, woman, whatever. But I think the word female has gotten a very, very negative connotation over the past few years and are used as a slight and even many times used as a um as kind of almost an insult to women, calling them females. The reason for that is that female could be female anything. A lot of times when you speak of animals, you will say female animal. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think so many women would mind being called a female in the right context. But I think a lot of it has gained negativity, like I said, because so many men will just throw that word out as like oh, these females or y'all females or but and I really shouldn't even have to really go much into this and explaining because men understand the connotation a lot more, even I think sometimes that than women do. It was actually a man that helped me understand that when a man uses female towards women, or throws that out a lot of times it is a very negative connotation. And matter of fact, he said that it was just a straight way to call another way to call women a bitch. So and that came from a male. Now I don't know if that's his personal experience or the way he used it or if it's just in general, but for the most part, women don't really like being called female because of that negative connotation. And so men who refer to women the majority of the time as females are usually on the toxic end of the scale to me and probably to a lot of women. Men with a lot of friends, men with a lot of male friends, men who got a lot of female friends, that's a whole nother thing. But men who have a lot of friends, in my opinion, is it kind of depends. I mean, if they're church buddies, if they're work buddies or something like that, sometimes that it's a little different. But usually a man who has a lot of male friends, and especially once he gets into a relationship or what have you, a lot of times that becomes a battle. It becomes a battle between, and especially if these friends are single, it becomes a battle almost for time. And it becomes a battle, like I said, especially if the men are single, because then, when dude wants to hang out with his girl or starts wanting to hang out with his girl more than his boys or whatever, then a lot of times it becomes, almost like a competition, almost like a battle. And, one of the other things is that a lot of times men with a lot of male friends, they do pretty much want to hang out more with their boys. And I think that brings a lot of negativity to the relationship that he's trying to build with his woman. Whether he's going to his friends for advice or whether his friends are putting themselves in the situation, I think it's just a man who's hanging out and has a lot of male friends, a lot of times, as I said, when the man is in a relationship or enters a relationship or is in a relationship, I think a lot of times it's negative because many times he will do things like going to his male friends rather than his woman. And a lot of times men, who are all single friends, a lot of times they will have, like boys night, and they go fishing once a month. They go and do things, and this is what me and my boys have always done. Like we've been doing this since we were 16, and these my boys, these my friends. I'm not finna stop just because I'm in a relationship with you and stuff like. And so it almost becomes in a way where the guy who's now in a relationship doesn't know how to balance those friendships anymore. And lastly, even though it's a big deal, a lot of times, men with a lot of friends, they will take that advice from their friends, and they'll listen many times more to their friends than to their woman, because that's just what they're used to. And men listen to other men more. I mean, it's just kind of a thing where men are a lot more kind of trusting of their boys or whatever than the woman. Oh, I've been knowing these dudes 15 years. I've been knowing them 10 years, whatever. And, I just met you, whatever. And so, you would hope the guy would be a lot more emotionally mature and wouldn't take that type of stance. But also a lot of times men who do have a lot of boys and friends or whatever, a lot of times you will find them a lot more clingy toward their male friends and not as easily wanting to let go of that lifestyle and get married or get into a serious relationship or whatever, for whatever reason. Maybe it's some of the things his friends tell him. Maybe it's things that, maybe his friends have experienced and he's looking at that, is making him a little afraid. um, just real briefly, kind of going back to that podcast thing, we know that men listen to other men way more than they listen to women. And so I think if their friends have a lot more negative outlook on relationships, and the podcasters that are talking or being a lot more negative, I think a lot of times for whatever reason men tend to listen to that, and I think a lot of them get scared. I think a lot of them get scared. I think they listen to other men's experiences without actually even having those experiences, and so therefore, that to me does become toxic. So, um, um, men over 30 with no real work experience, I think is kind of it's a negative, it's a toxic trait. And the reason I say that is simply because by the time a man is 30, even though that's young, by the time a man is 30, I feel like that's kind of enough time to have for him to be able to kind of establish himself in whatever career he wants or wherever he's kind of going with his life. And if he has not kind of gotten that by the time he's 30, like I said, they're still young, and that is still enough time to maybe go ahead and get that career. It's certainly not over by 30, but I think by 30, a man should have already been focused on his if not his career, at least a work experience, some work experience and some steady work experience. So, if a man is kind of at 30 and he kind of still wanting to be a ball player and he's still kind of wanting to rap and all these type things, he doesn't have a solid grasp on working and career and a job and things like that. um, I think that's a little toxicity. It's a little bit of a toxic trait because as a man, in my opinion, that you should be working. Like you should be doing something. You know what I'm saying? And if you've hit 30 and you kind of just hanging around and still hanging out with your boys and still um doing those negative things, hanging out, not really, oh, I work here, sometime I work over there, I really, it kind of shows a little bit of instability in my opinion. So I think a woman should look at that as something that could possibly be a toxic trait, somewhere where she may have to be paying some 50-50, or somewhere where she may have to help out a little bit more, or something where she may have to get into fights and arguments because he's not working. And literally, men feel very inadequate when they don't have a job, don't have steady income, and things like that. And especially if he has found a woman who is in school, in college, or working, or has a career, or things like that. I just don't think it's a good match because, like I said, men just in this country have it's kind of put on the man that he should be working and he should be a provider and that whole thing. So I think when they don't have that work ethic or have that work experience and things like that, I think it really kind of does something to a man. So I think, yeah, by 30, I'm not putting him totally out the game, but I'm saying that a woman needs to kind of look at that, especially as a why. You know what I'm saying? So, uh, men who don't trust women. Men who don't trust women are usually men who, and I'm talking about women in general. I'm not talking about a specific woman. I'm not even really talking about a certain relationship that he's had or anything like that. I'm talking about men who just generally don't trust women, period. Any woman, all women, you know? Um, I believe that that's a toxic trait because, once again, I think that's a man who's probably been listening to a lot of other men, uh, and who have caught hold to those bad traits that they speak about women. And I think it's probably more a man who's very afraid, who thinks like that, who just don't trust women in general. I think if we go into their life, into their past, and so forth, that type of man usually has a lot of mom issues and a lot of things where he's had negative experiences with his mom, seen a lot of negative things, maybe from his sisters and aunts and things like that. And they kind of just have a negative outlook on women, period. They're not being very balanced and fully looking at, well, why is she like this, or why is this pattern prevalent among women in my family, or women that I see, or women that I hang around? Why is that? Like they don't really take the time to really look and evaluate the situations where, they feel like they can't trust a woman. What is that? You know what I'm saying? And I think those men who just throw out that broad statement of, I don't trust women, I don't trust females, or whatever. I think, as a woman, that's something that needs to be really looked at before getting into a relationship with men like that. Um, Men who consume a lot of porn. Men who consume porn on a regular basis, I think, is a very toxic man because of the fact that his mindset is skewed. And it's almost impossible for his mindset not to be skewed by watching and consuming porn a great amount of the day or the week or his time being consumed by porn. I think those men have a hard time relating to women, mostly because it's hard for them to see women really more than a sex object. You know what I'm saying? I think porn really skews men's uh outlook on women as women being actual thinking, living, hurting, loving uh human beings. You know what I'm saying? It's hard for them to really look at a woman as a human being when they consume a large amount of porn. I think in their sexual relations, and well, first of all, I think it's negative because, first of all, that is the outlook that they're going to take from women. It's just sex. Like, like I just said, it's hard for them, in my opinion, for them to actually look at a woman as a well rounded individual. You know what I'm saying? They're really pretty much just looking at her as a sex object, and that's what she brings to me is sex. They are more expectant of a woman to give them sex. I think a man who consumes porn has that women owe me sex type mindset, which is very, very toxic. First of all, you can't build a relationship on sex. You can't go into a relationship head first with sex. You know what I'm saying? It kind of just messes things up. And then in the bed, in the bedroom, whatever relationship he gathers from a woman, whether it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, marriage, or whatever, when he comes in with that mindset of having consumed porn for a great amount of his life, probably starting at preferably not adolescence, but at least teenagehood, um, it's negative because, like I say, that is the way, that's kind of how he comes at women. And sexually and in the bed, a man who consumes a lot of porn, most of the time, his goal or his mindset is to kind of treat women like that, like she is a porn star. So he's not looking at her as, somebody I really care about. I really want to get to know. I really want to know your body. I really want to understand your body. A lot of them just kind of try those things that they've seen on porn. They don't know if the woman likes that. They don't know if, are they doing it too hard? Are they, because you don't know her. You don't know her body. You don't know what this woman likes in comparison to that woman. You're just literally pretty much looking through at them through the eyes of porn. You know what I'm saying? Not realizing that those women get paid to endure pain. You know what I'm saying? Not realizing that breasts in actuality really are pretty sensitive. And so, a woman on the big porn screen, when you hurt her or whatever, yeah, she finna act like she likes that because she getting a whole bunch of money to act like she likes that. You know what I'm saying? Being hit and smacked around or whatever, or treated a little bit rougher, or being a little degraded and things like that. Like, a lot of these things are things that happen in porn videos, and men, real life men, don't realize that women may not always like all of that. Certain women, I mean, usually, the average, just regular, everyday woman wants to be made love to more so than getting treated like a porn star. Just being honest. Now, that ain't to say that all women don't like some of the stuff in a porn, or wouldn't like that sometimes or whatever. But I think a real live, everyday, regular woman that's in a relationship with a man wants to be made love to. She wants to be kissed. She wants to be cuddled. She wants to be loved on. She wants her body explored more so than, as I said, just treating her like she's some type of porn star. I think that porn really skews a man's perception about women and what women like. I really, really do. I'm gonna leave that right there. um, Uh, my phone keeps going off every time I put it down. I put on here men who game more than 3 hours a day. And I say that that kind of goes back to those men who don't have a real solid work experience. And on this, I said men over 30 with no work experience. Now, I'm going to put that with the men who game a lot. And that ain't to say that men over 30 don't game because they actually really do. My husband was a gamer. W yeah, I've been married more than once. So I met my last husband. He was a gamer, and he was over 30. And the reason why I picked that out as being a bit of a toxic trait is because while he was gaming and while he was retired from military and things like that, so he had the time, I think I know that in his situation that gaming was a he should have been doing some other things. I don't mean like working in finances or whatever, but there are some other things that he could have been doing his life and he chose to be on the game for hours at a time. You know what I'm saying? So, um I think it's nothing wrong with that if that's a hobby and if that's what you do, but doing that for large amounts of hours in a day, I think really takes away from other things that men should be doing. And I think that varies with the man and with his life and all of that. I think it varies, but at the end of the day, more than 3 hours a day, and in a lot of instances, that's even a lot. It kind of just depends. I mean, if he's working and he comes home and that's his stress reliever or whatever, a few times a week or whatever, I think it needs to be a balance. You know what I'm saying? I think gaming is really something for teenagers or really, really young men who have a lot of time to do that. Or if it's in some kind of way, some type of like hobby they can get paid for or something like that, because I know that that's a thing too. Um, but yeah, I think men especially need the ability to get up and go out and actually go places and interact with people. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times gaming causes men to kind of be more shut up in the house and not really. And then that's when you start getting into the internet, and they can get into the incel thing because they're not really getting out and they're kind of at home, and that kind of starts causing a lot of social anxiety type issues. And it's just it can really lead to a lot of things. So um, I did not know my time was going to go that fast. I don't want to go too long with this. I'm going to pick one more and then I'm going to probably make this a part two. So let me bring up another one that I think is really, really good to end on. I'll go ahead and say men who talk about money a lot. And I'm going to close on that one. Men who talk about money a lot are, in my opinion, very problematic. First of all, I think they are using their money as putting their money out there. And then I think it's a problem because when those same women that they're trying to attract with their money actually bite, you know what I'm saying? Then I think those men um find a problem with women because then they don't know whether or not you want me for me or you want me for my money or whatever. I think it's something that can come very, men can become very insecure when they start leading with their money. and not leading with their personality or what they want or what they like or what they desire. A lot of times men will throw out money and use money as a way to get women. They say that that's not what they're doing, but I think they know that that is what they are doing, because if you put money and cars and you know um even leading with your money in that type of a way, it's going to attract certain kinds of women also. You know what I'm saying? It could draw all women, but it's going to draw a certain kind of woman. And I think that's more of a younger woman. I think that's more of a woman who kind of wants to, be pampered and taken care of and things like that. Even though every woman has a little bit of that in her, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But, if you're leading with your money and she start asking you to take her to $500 dinners and to be flued out to Dubai and things like that, and yes, I purposely said flued out. Um, then I think a lot of times for a man, then that's when he starts talking about gold diggers. When in reality, they need to stop leading with their money. You know what I'm saying? Let's take, for example, let's take a really rich man, which one of the things I want to bring out about really rich or wealthy men is that most of the time you find them in relationships. Most of the time you find them married. You know what I'm saying? Whereas so many men who talk about their money and so forth, a lot of times they are single or want to stay single or have a problem with spending their money. Um, And I think that needs to be looked at, because really true, wealthy, rich men usually are married. Unless they're just a playboy, which is a whole nother thing. I think regular men get playboys mixed up with rich men, because a playboy, he want to be a playboy. You know what I'm saying? That's his thing. He want to do that. He don't want to be tied down. He don't, you know what I'm saying? But most rich men, many men who are billionaires are married. And I don't think a lot of regular men look at that. I think they're listening to these podcasters and stuff, and, who tell them to, basically punish a woman with your money. Basically take her out, and if she don't give you this, then you leave her. Or, if she don't have this and you have this, then she ain't worthy of you. It's just really, really silly, because, like I say, when you look at actual, true rich men, many celebrities, many sports stars, many men in tech, like all of this, most of those men are married. But most of these podcasters are telling you to keep your money, hoard your money, buy your own house, buy your own this, buy your own whatever, and just leave women alone. And it's just like, so what are they? Well, they supposed to be gay, or they? Because here's the thing, I don't understand leading with your money and then telling a woman she can't have it, or telling a woman she ain't worthy, or, you know, something like that. I don't really understand that. I think if that's going to be the case, I think a man I think people really need to leave money out of the equation. Like, I really do. Um, Lead with your personality, lead with your likes, your dislikes, more so about your personality and yourself other than your career and your money. I really do. Me personally, because I'm not talking about just me in this video, but me personally, it actually bothers me when I have men leading with money or telling me about their money and so forth, because it gives the connotation that that is what women want. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm being a little, because I thought I heard something in my living room. I think that's my robo. I think that's my Roomba. Um, but anyway, yeah. It just, I think men who have that persona of their money and their cars and things like that, I think they really need to be a little bit more observant of the actual really truly rich men, and really see that they, most of them, like I said, are really married. Now, um, I have a problem with it. I really have a problem with it because me personally, just me personally, I don't go after men for money. I really don't. I never really have. And so money has never been impressive to me. And so I think I had probably one guy that I really remember leading with his money, always talking about his money and stuff like that. And I think he got a little offended because I never did ask him for anything. Like I never asked him to take me anywhere. And what's crazy about it is that I will never forget that he kept asking me to go out, kept asking me to go out. And when I finally went out with this dude gets me to the restaurant. And I think I shared this story on here before. And we had sat down to eat and everything. I got the menu. I'm looking at what I want and everything. And as I'm looking at it, I noticed that he ain't even picking up the menu. Like he didn't even take. He might have took some water. I mean, this is from years ago. I think he might have took some water or something when the waitress came by. But I'm looking at the menu and it's like I'm asking him. I'm like, you're not gonna get anything, like you're not gonna eat, or I'm like, what's going, oh, I left my wallet at home, and I don't have my wallet. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, you always, first of all, I don't think I thought much of it. I really don't, because I'm a lot more of a thinker than I was when I was younger, and I was young. But I was like, well, so why did we come here? I do remember thinking that. Why did we come here? Like, I don't want to eat by myself. That's going to be embarrassing. Because this is literally what I'm thinking. It never crossed my mind that he wanted me to pay, or he was hinting at me paying. Like, I don't know. It never crossed my mind. It didn't even cross my mind to offer. It crossed my mind that, well, here I'm going to be eating and you're not going to have anything, and that's weird. Like, why? I don't know why we came if you left your wallet, or if you like that. That was just weird to me. So basically, I ordered my food, got my food, had it boxed up, and told him to take me home because I it call me whatever, call me harebrained or whatever, but it never entered my mind that he wanted me to pay for him. I don't know. I still don't know to this day if that's what he wanted. I don't know, it could have been. I don't know, but it wasn't going to happen. But yeah. So, um, but that was just a really weird exchange. He always talked about his money. He always talked about his 401k and all of this. And that was just, and it was a turnoff to me. It was a real turnoff because why? You know, I just didn't I just didn't understand that. You guys, I'm gonna end it right there. I will come back with part two of that. Let me know what you think. Hit the subscribe button. Please hit all notifications, y'all. Please, I'm almost at 1,000. This is really like weird for me because it's like I've been on here so long, but I'm close to 1,000 subs, and I know that's small for a lot of other people with all of these 10K and millions of followers and everything. But I would really appreciate you guys, please, at least getting me to 1,000. That would be great. I would love you for that. Um, Also, hit all notifications so that you know when I upload new videos. You guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And until the next video, see you next time.